Nico Harrison held another press conference yesterday. He needs to stop that. He's got to stop.
Okay, but I will say, see, now I'm starting to feel bad. I am. I don't like the question. Do you think you should keep your job or however?
I actually love the way people are now putting it on him. Like, we're going to ask you hard questions.
That's hurtful, dude.
Because he can't. He
can't explain it.
He can't defend his positions.
No, he can't.
He tells you what he did, and then you say, okay, but why? And then he says something, and you say, explain that, and he can't explain it. Even the other day, he got in a back and forth with Tim McMahon, and it's like, so you trade Luka Doncic, even though he had you in the finals last year, generational talent. He was only 25 years old at the time. Why? How do you explain that? And he just says defense wins championships. That's what I believe. Defense wins championships. And so then they say, okay, first off, that's not entirely true. That's a cliche that was developed in football. It's not always true in all sports, including basketball. Like, the best defensive team in basketball does not win the championship every year. All right? Do you have to guard to win a championship? Sure. But the idea that that is the undeniably most important thing, that's not what history tells us. Mm-hmm. History tells us the most important thing is to, you ready for this? Have a star, like one of the best players in the whole world.
You have to have that.
You know what is more important than defense in the NBA Finals? Stars.
A guy that can close, yep.
Stars. The history of the NBA is stars win championships. Yeah, sometimes there's stars on awesome defensive teams, but it's mostly stars. So Nico, but he's doubling down. Defense wins championships, which is a fine thing to say as long as nobody can ask you a follow-up. But you know what the follow-up was? Okay, we'll play along. Defense wins championships. Can you explain the Nuggets from 2 years ago? Middle of the pack defensive team. How'd they win a championship? No, they can't do it. Nothing to do. The Nuggets were a middle of the pack defensive team. Won a championship. How'd they do it? You want to know how?
Jokic.
Stars. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So his biggest problem is he can't defend any of the stuff he's saying. Like, if you're going to have bad opinions, at least be able to frame them in ways that make stupid people go, well, maybe he knows something. This guy can't do this at all. The latest is yesterday. He was once again asked about the Luka Doncic trade. You know what he said? For the first time, he acknowledged some fault. Like, for the first time, he acknowledged that he might have had a blind spot. I don't think he knew he was doing this, but this is what he did. He said, I knew Dallas fans, Maverick fans love Luka Doncic. I just didn't realize how much. And that is by admission, an admission of I didn't have this properly gauged. I knew Dallas fans would be upset, but I didn't recognize it was going to be like this. Bro, how did I recognize it? And you didn't. I ain't living in Dallas, running a franchise. How do I know how they going to react to you trading Luka Doncic better than you do? That's a real problem. He just says stupid stuff over and over again that makes it impossible to believe he's capable of doing this job well. So then you get questions like, can you explain why you should keep your job? That was asked right to him. I think it's totally fair at this point. If you're going to wreck a franchise for whatever reasons you decided, rip out a city's heart, at least from a sports perspective, you need to be able to explain it. And if you're just going to double down on dumb stuff like defense wins championships, that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough. There are opinion sharers in this world that I disagree with, but that I at least can acknowledge they're good at framing their arguments. Like, I've known Clay Travis for, 25 years at this point. There was a point in life where we were friendly. Like, I'd go on his show all the time. He'd come on my show all the time. And,
your paths took you to different places.
Our paths have taken us to different places. I disagree with a lot of what Clay Travis says and has said over the years. But I can also tell you this about him. You ready? He is excellent at framing his arguments. He is an incredible debater. I can listen to Clay say something, and I can know I disagree with him. And I can also know if he and I sat down and got into an argument about it, even though I believe at my core he's wrong and I'm going to be able to verbalize that and frame it, he's going to have a good counter. He's going to be able to Not convince me, but he can convince them. He's really good at it. There's a handful of guys like that. They're really good at framing their arguments, defending their positions. I can go, man, I don't believe that's right at all. But I can see why other people believe that it is. And he's doing a good job of convincing them. He's very good at that. That's why his career is, as he loves to tell you, he's got a, beach house and $1 billion. It's because he is good at that. He's very good at framing arguments in a way that can convince people who are at least open to believing them to believe them. Nico Harrison needs to have that quality if you're going to do stuff like this. If you're going to trade Luka Doncic, you need to be able to frame it in a way that makes me go, all right, I don't think he's right. But, he's making, there's a point in there somewhere. Let me see if I can find it, or at least maybe not think he's 100% wrong. He has no ability to do that. The ability he has is every time he talks, he makes something worse. Every time he has talked about this, he's made it worse. Imagine you make a big decision in your life, whatever it is, and every time you're asked to explain it, you can't explain it in a way that it makes sense to anybody else. Why you sold your house, why you changed jobs, why you got a divorce, why you had a third kid, anything. Somebody says, why did you do that, Bennett? And because I don't understand it. And every time you explain it, nobody says, oh, okay, that makes sense. Everybody's just like, bro, that sounds crazy. That sounds stupid. That sounds like you don't know what you're talking about or don't know what you're doing. That is what this guy's done. He made the dumbest trade in the history of professional sports. And every time he tries to talk about it, it just sounds dumber and dumber and dumber. They have to remove him. And I know there's all these conspiracy theories like that he's actually doing the owner's bidding. Like the biggest conspiracy theory out there is the owners want to move this franchise to Las Vegas. So the first step in doing that is bomb the franchise. How do you bomb a franchise? You trade away the favorite player, have the boycott or revolt or whatever. Everything plummets, then you're freed up to move to Las Vegas. I don't subscribe to any of that.
Yeah,
so we're clear.
I don't either. Dallas is a massive market. That franchise has a lot of value.
I don't subscribe to any of it. I'm just telling you that is out there.
Yeah, I got
So
you.
every time that I say, what is Nico Harrison doing? He needs to be fired. There will be somebody who jumps in and says, well, they don't want to fire him. He's doing what they want him to do. I think it's simpler than that. I think he just got fed up with Luka Doncic and what his idea of a champion should be. And those things didn't go together. And he was like, we have to pull the trigger on this. I know what a champion looks like.
His owner had to sign off on that, though.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. So he might have done a good job of convincing the owner.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt for a second if you work.
Like, he deserves some blame, too.
Well, I don't doubt. Let me be clear. I don't doubt for a second that if you owned the Mavericks or ran the Mavericks or worked in that organization, that there were times where you got incredibly frustrated with Luka Doncic, right? I mean, we hear all these stories all the time about stars. Joel Embiid, you hear him, like, shows up late. I mean, I worked with former NBA players who played with Joel Embiid. They will tell you, bro, you never knew when practice was going to be. Practice is at 10. Where's Joel? He like, you just, it was on his schedule.
Yeah.
Nobody held him accountable. So did Luka drink too much? Maybe. Eat too much? Perhaps. Not work out enough? That's what everybody says. And if you're paying somebody the type of money you're paying him and getting ready to pay him the type of money you're going to have to pay him to re-sign him, does that get frustrating? Imagine you own a business, you're paying somebody, and your highest paid employee doesn't show up on time, doesn't work hard as you think he should, doesn't take care of his body the way you think he needs to, and drinks more than you think he should. I can see how it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
And that's how Nico Harrison gets the idea in his head, I want to do this, and how the owners say, yeah, do it. We're not giving this bum, this fatty $300 million. I understand how you get frustrated and get to that point. You just have to, at some point, take a step back and go, he's still Luka Doncic. It doesn't matter how frustrated we are. You can't move this guy. It would be, you want the, I don't know if I made this point before, but I thought of it at some point. You ever see the old Howard Stern movie, Private Parts, whatever?
I never saw it.
Okay, well, like, for young people, you won't have any idea what I'm talking about. But once upon a time, Howard Stern was the biggest radio personality in the country by far. He was on like FM radio stations all over the country, and like you would literally like I think I was in college age, and he was the biggest thing in the world, and the whole country would listen to Howard Stern every morning, and everything he said became big headlines, and he was this big deal. Also, he was driving his bosses crazy, right? These outrageous things that he would say, these outrageous things that he would do, and his bosses, like, I guarantee you, like, I believe he was fired at one point, but I promise you, every boss he ever had wanted to fire him. We've told this guy not to do this, he keeps doing it. We've told this guy to do this, he won't do it. We've told this guy A, B, and C, and he just does the opposite of A, B, and C. If he won't do what we need him to do, why are we going to pay him this much money? You know why? Because he delivers. Because he delivers. And so you know what you do if you run a radio station in the mid to late 90s, if you employ Howard Stern? You say, man, I wish this guy was different. I wish he would I wish he wouldn't do this, and I wish he would do that, and I can't stand it when he does this, and I hate it when he does that. But I'm just going to get out of his way because the results are the results. That's how you had to employ Howard Stern once upon a time. Is he a frustrating employee? Yes. Does he deliver? Yes. Then get out of the way. Same thing with Luka Doncic.
Yep.
Are you frustrated with him? Sure. Does he deliver? He had you in the NBA Finals less than a year ago. Get out of the way. Hope that maybe one day he'll learn to eat better, work harder, drink less. But you don't give up on that at the age of 25, when even while he's drinking a lot, eating a lot, not working out a lot, he's one of the 5 best players in the world. Just I know we spent more time on this than we probably should, but I get frustrated by nonsensical decisions. I don't understand how people do things and then can't explain them. I won't always be right about anything I do in life, but I will almost always be able to explain to you why I did it. I won't always be right, but I can almost always explain to you what went into my thinking. And you might go, yeah, GP, that was dumb, but you'll at least be able to understand where I was coming from. This guy cannot make you sensibly understand where he's coming from, and that's why at some point he has to not work for that franchise anymore. If your customers don't believe in you, you can't keep having him be the face of this thing.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.